episode of I Take
D.
I'm Joel.
And I'm Carla.
And today's episode is going to be being on the same team. We want to remind you that you can follow us on Facebook on I Take D. We have so many other social media outlets.
You can follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, and of course now on YouTube channel. So please subscribe.
Yeah, follow us on there. So, all right, let me start with today's verse. And it's Luke 11:17. And it says, any kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, and a house divided against itself will fall. Talk to us.
So we're going to talk about today, one of the things that I like, a quote that I usually was reading about it this weekend and kind of really touched my heart, and it's because we're in winter. So it was about a snowflake. So it says the snowflake is one of God's most fragile creations, but look what they can do when they stick together. And I think that really touched me because we know how fragile and how small a little snowflake can be when it starts falling down. But the power that it makes those snowflakes when they start sticking together and they make this pile and pile of mountain of snow. And now look at your relationship, look at your marriage that way. You both are individual snowflakes, but the power that you can do when you stick together, you build mountains together. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because snowflakes, in order to become a pile of snow, they need to be teammates. They need to be team players, because if one snowflake decides to just go on their own, there is no way that they will be able to stick together. So let's talk about being teammates in a marriage today.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept because, as my wife knows, I love football. Like, once the season is over, I almost feel like Sundays after church is like, what am I going to do? Because all they're going to play is like NASCAR and other stuff. Nothing against people who like NASCAR, but I don't. So it's either NASCAR or they're playing golf. And I'm like, come on, bring me some football. I just want some NFL. But it's an interesting concept because when you think about marriage, a lot of times what you see is there's a competition, but not a competition of like going together, almost like, on your own. And that's just, we when we get married, it's you were single, so now you're in this relationship, and you have to look for ways that will bring you back to the same team. And one of those areas that comes to mind is to discipline your kids. You might have your own style, then your spouse might have their own style, and many times we find ourselves arguing, and it used to happen to us. We will argue about how we would discipline our kids. And there was something that we did at the very beginning that I think made a difference. And that was that we said in the very beginning, we didn't know that this was actually a good thing. We agreed to say, you know what, if you disagree with my style or I disagree with your style, can we talk about it behind closed doors? Like that, our kids, at that time, one child, she wouldn't see that we were not in agreement. So in front of our child, we were always one. We never showed our child that we were not in agreement. Even if we felt we were not in agreement, we did not show our child that. And that's important, that even with the disciplining your children, that you take that behind closed doors. Maybe even before you take that time to discipline your child, that you go behind closed doors and say, okay, this is what happened. This is what I'm thinking. What are you thinking? And then apply some of what we talked about, the art of compromising, perhaps compromising, or just going with what was said.
And I think, in that perspective, I think your children need to see you as one team.
Yeah.
And that's when we talk about being in one team, because they need to see that you guys are both connected, that you both on the same page, that no matter what they're thinking, maybe I can get away with this with mom or dad, that you're both on the same page. And I think that's really important. I look at it like, I love football. Yeah. They say a woman that loves football. Yeah, I love football. And I understand it really well too as well.
Lord
but
Jesus.
I look at it as a perspective. It's a full game, and there's two separate teams that always have to be in the offensive, and there's another set of teams that always have to be in the defensive side. So I look at it in that perspective in a marriage too. Sometimes, right, we have to look into our opposites. And if maybe, Joelle is feeling like, well, maybe we should go this route and I should go this route in disciplining our child. We come together and we put our play together, right? Because let me tell you, even to the youngest, they are really creative and they know how to get you and they know how to sweet talk to you. Yeah. So if I don't have a game plan to what's to come, and
they're going to win.
They're going to win. And today is we're going to say, both need to win. Your marriage needs to win over your kids, over your friends, over your family. Your marriage always wins. And when you stick together, it's like that snowflake. Who's going to stop you, right? Who's going to tear you down, right? And those are the things that we want to make sure that you understand as being part of the same team.
Yeah, it's like you're dancing together. You're making sure that you look as one. Our kids love us and we love our kids, but they're almost like born with this this skill of, like we do, right? Trying to get away with whatever, as much as they can get away with. Mm-hmm. And when you're not on the same page, you're not on the same team, you're not in communication and connection with your spouse, they can tear you apart. Not because they're doing it maliciously. Mm-hmm. It's just human nature will always look for ways to get what they want. And our kids would look for ways to get what they want, not because they hate us, but because human nature pulls at them and says, you got to look for a way to get what you want. So one of the ways they do that is, I'm going to go to mom. If mom says no, then I go to dad. And if he doesn't communicate with mom, then I'll get away with it, And what that does, that creates friction, and that creates it creates breakup. It creates this separation between spouses that is just not helpful into the relationship.
No, and I, when we talk about, now let's get away from the kids' perspective, right? And many couples may not have kids. We have to be respectful of that. So let's get to the mindset of what a teammate is. Teammate is finding solutions together. Like what solution, what game plan, what solution are we going to get to plan A, B, or C, right? Yeah. So let's talk about that perspective. So in a home, when it comes to situations in financial, when it comes to buying a home, renting an apartment, buying a car, all those things, you have to have a solution. You both have to come into an agreement of what's going to be the best play. I was reading something this morning that, one of our devotionals, and what really impacted me about the author, he was talking about, now in today's era, in today's world, everything has, the runner up, not necessarily the winner, but the next to the winner, like what's the runner, for like Miss Universe, he was giving the example of Miss Universe in the pageant. He said, well, then the runner up, which means for those who done pageant, for those who done those things, says you're practically not the winner, you're just the second place. So sometimes in our marriages, our spouses, kind of begin to feel this effect of like, but I don't want to be second. Why do I always have to sacrifice my choice to lead to a compromise, right? So that's part of a team. If you are not playing together, there is no way you're going to win at the end. So you always have to make those sacrifices. One of you are always going to have to be the runner-up, perhaps, but don't look at it in that perspective, because you want to win. That is your end goal. So for us, it's like, I want to win in the marriage.
Yes.
As two. Not as Carla wants to win this battle, not as Carla wants to, win this decision that we're trying to make together. But at the end of the day, if I'm going to be the runner-up, then I'll be the runner-up, because I'm allowing our marriage to win together.
Yeah, that's why I like the three-legged race. It really shows a great example of what it means to you only win together. If you can't do that, then you're literally, if you just want to win on your own in a three-legged race, you're dragging the other person.
Yes.
And think about that. Like, do you really want to be the one dragging your spouse because you're so into I'm gonna win? No, that's not the right approach. Like, if we're gonna win, we're gonna win together. if we're not going to win, then we don't win together. That is the difference. And you touched something very interesting in regards to like finances and like buying things, and you know, being able to really talk about these things, and not making decisions just because, oh, well, I make my money and you make your money and you do what you want to do with your money and I'll do whatever I want with my money as long as the big bills are being paid. That's not the right approach. Like, we've been that road, and it was just not, it wasn't positive towards our marriage. Like, you know, just because I wanted to get the latest shoes and she wanted to get the latest purse, or because she makes her own money and I make my own money, it just wasn't helpful to the overall scope of our relationship. And we needed to have a serious conversation about, like, you know what, even there, not because she's asking me permission to buy a purse or that I have to ask her for permission to buy shoes, but in a relationship, we have to know where our finances are at. We both have to be in agreement. Maybe, you know, saving that money of me not getting the shoes and her not getting the purse, we can come to an agreement and say, you know what, that money, we can actually use it for a vacation or for something else that we may need in the home. So those are things that we really have to have true conversations about, and just be on the same team. There was one other point that I wanted to touch, and is the put downs. Mm-hmm. Because when you're in the same team, like, you know, when I think of my favorite team in football, you never, when you hear like the you know how they record on the sidelines, you never hear them putting each other down. Mm-hmm. They don't do it publicly. Mm-hmm. And if they do it privately, I don't even know it, but I doubt they do, because then that wouldn't create a team approach. So put downs. Tell me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and for that perspective too, you know, it's like sometimes we feel we have this selfish mentality of like, we deserve it. We deserve to win. We deserve this. Because we work so hard for it. You know, at the end of the day, you know, you're not winning. You know, you're both losing. So put downs in that perspective as well. It's like it sends the person, your spouse, brings them down to, you know, for example, last night, you know, we were at an event with my husband, had to be the MC for the event, and he was already feeling like, oh, you know, I can't do this. This is not something that I'm comfortable with. So if as a wife, was like, I begin to put him down, like, yeah, you know, you're not doing well. You need to do better. You know, I start putting him down. What do you think that's going to set to his field, right? He's going to be like, man, I'm not going to do this. Mm-hmm. Now he's going to probably even do worse than what he began. So throughout the evening, I just kept encouraging him, you're doing a great job. And then, you know, because that motivates him. So please, you know, to spouses out there, don't put your spouse down. You know, I was talking about motivation, you know, the other day. You know, how do you have to motivate each other? You have to motivate each other too. And that's part of a team. Like, teammates, we can do this. Let's go, another round. We got this. You hear those kind of, you know, comments in a field, basketball or football.
Even when you're losing.
No, we got this. We got this. We're going to do this.
We believe in ourselves.
So
we got to believe in ourselves.
Why can't we be that? You know, I know there's some crazy fans out there that they probably are the ones who go skinless and makeup and all that. And I know probably you are one of those, but can you be that kind of cheerleader? Can you be that kind of fan for your marriage? You know, can you be that motivator? Can you be that driver to tell your spouse, we can do this? We may be low now, we may be down to the ground now, but we can get back up and we can make this happen. We can win in our marriage. We can get this done. We have to be that motivator. If you're going to be the person that we're not going to get out of this, we're in so much debt, this is nowhere we can do this for our children. If you start thinking all that negative thoughts in your head, that later on, it just damages the relationship. It damages your marriage. And then now both of you are like, okay, you're right. It's not going to work out. Mm-hmm. We're not going to get out of this. So constantly motivate your spouse. No put downs. Don't let them down. You know, continue to encourage them, because at the end of the day, when you're going to need that encouragement, when you're going to need that motivation, that spouse is going to be there to give you that up as well.
Thank you for joining us. Please watch our video, share our video. Yes. If you have any questions, you can private message us, and we would gladly respond to your questions. Watch us on YouTube and so many other social media outlets. We thank you again for giving us an opportunity to share some time with you. Have a wonderful day. Until next time.